Two individuals, I'm calling it disguised in burkas, entered the premise. One pulled out a handgun. The other individual took the female employee to the door and locked the premise, at which point in time they emptied the display cases of rings and jewelry. These individuals were in the store once they secured the premise for approximately 5 minutes, and they cleared out a good quantity of jewelry, approximately $500,000 worth of jewelry in that time frame.
Welcome back to the arena. I'm Michael Corran. A Burka robbery in Toronto. I don't mean burkas were stolen. Criminals dressed in female Islamic attire stole, as you heard, $500,000 worth of jewelry. Just as has happened elsewhere in the world, in the United States, in Asia, in Europe, wearing burkas. Look, this is not required under Islam. Moderation is, but not this. It's problematic on numerous levels. It's time we spoke out without fear of being accused of Islamophobia or some other contrived term. Critical, self-critical, I don't know, analytical Muslim, Athar Khan, joins us from Ottawa. Are you surprised by this?
No, I'm actually not surprised. And you know, it does present an immediate security risk with regard to bank robberies and jewelry store robberies, but it also presents another security risk. For example, I could wear a burqa and enter any female washroom, enter any female change room, and walk about and look at girls changing. I could do, and specifically with regard to the Muslim community, I can dress up in a burqa and enter the sisters section of a mosque and look at girls and women there. So this is problematic on many levels, not only to the general public, but specifically to the Muslim community as well.
Now, I wouldn't claim for a moment to be an expert on Islam, but I know a little, and I know that Islam, and I think it's quite eloquent, calls for modesty in dress for men and women. But it doesn't require this sort of covering. I don't think it's Islamic. I think it's Arabic. It's Saudi Arabian. I first went to the Middle East in 1979. I've been going pretty regularly since then. I never saw anything like this until, 10, 15 years ago. It was unheard of in Pakistan. It's now very common. This is it's indoctrination from Saudi Arabia. It's not the teaching of Islam.
Right. And even if we were to say that it is an extension of Islam, for example, some people would say that I'm doing it out of fear of God and to be extra modest in front of men, to please God. So even if you were to twist and turn it so to make it an extension of Islam, just because something is part of Islam doesn't mean it shouldn't be scrutinized, doesn't mean it doesn't potentially lead to security risks, which should lead it to being banned from society.
Yeah.
Okay, and some people say, well, it's not a religious thing; it's a political statement that I'm making. Well, I understand if the hijab is a political statement. Okay, you want to wear a hijab, show that you're Muslim, that's fine. But the burqa, very few people would actually wear the whole burqa just to make a socio-political statement. They wear it because they've internalized that sort of deep-seated, patriarchal, misogynistic, subjugated notion that women are inferior to men and therefore have to constantly cover it up while they can walk around, while their husbands can walk around in jeans and looking at girls.
I think that's a very, very crisp analysis, actually, because I know some young Muslim women who are not very devout. They wear a hijab. They don't seem to have that many theological beliefs, but they're making a statement. When it comes to the full covering, it's saying that men cannot control themselves and that women have to be covered. It is subjugation, and I do reject it. And I agree with your point, even if it was taught by Islam, and it's not. But even if it was, so what? Certain aspects of certain religions that we reject in a civilized society, and that's just the way it is. We're going to show another clip now, because the police, God bless them, they can be a bit disingenuous. No, actually, maybe we can use another word. This is not like any other disguise. We have two clips we want to show you, and they both address different aspects of this. One, this is not unique, and two, in a balaclava, you assume they're probably, unless it's very, very cold, up to no good. Let's see one of these clips now, please.
We've had bank robberies that happened years ago where they wore burqa disguises, but this is the first one of this nature that I've seen in Toronto where they're actually having two individuals covered like burqas going into a jewelry store in a busy afternoon, busy morning in a busy plaza like this.
It certainly has happened in the US, and it's happened in the UK, and I think it's happened in continental Europe as well. There's another clip I think we have here, because the police took a long time to actually get to the point. Can we see that now, please?
We've seen balaclavas and ski masks, and we've seen scarves and bandanas. It's just another a way of disguising yourself to try and prevent identification during a robbery, and actually mingling in with the crowd also, where a ski mask may stand out in the middle of October, where a burqa won't.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for making that point, Meg. It took you long enough, didn't it? This is different. If you have a mask on, people would say you're wearing a mask. But in this case, they're too intimidated by political correctness, I think, and fears accusations of Islamophobia to say, hold on a minute, I want to ask you a question.
Yes, and he said it's another way of disguising yourself. I would add it's another legitimate way of disguising yourself, right? No one's going to suspect someone wearing a burqa to be a thief or be suspicious of them in any way. Why? Because as soon as you do, you're labeled a racist, right? Because if somebody's wearing a burqa, or if somebody has a big beard and is wearing a big thobe that's normally associated with somebody who's a Salafi or Wahhabi coming out of a mosque, we have to treat them just as we would treat our loving neighbor who looks nothing like someone who's a deeply conservative Muslim.
In France, as you know, it's banned. Other countries are flirting with this. Do you think it should be banned?
You know, I think it actually should. And you know, people like, I believe, Ayaan Hirsi Ali and Douglas Murray have both said that if you're not actually going to ban it, at least discourage it to a significant extent, right? But we don't here, right? That is why you have people who are born in Canada, who weren't raised in a strict religious Muslim background, taking up the niqab and the burqa, right? Why are these people buying into this? Why? Because no one is discouraging them from it. No one's having this discussion that me and you are having right now about why the burqa is not a good thing for people to wear.
That is a good point on which to end, actually. I will be wary of making illegal, but we seem to actively encourage. How dare we critique in any way an aspect of another culture? Good discussion. Appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.